Richard Dennison, why is social media important to BT?
Well, I think it's important to us in common probably with lots of other companies, because I don't think that it's possible to support the requirements of our business with a traditional intranet, so with formal, static, managed content that we've had before. I think that we're in a much more fast-moving world now, and the only way that we can support that fast-moving world is with these kinds of tools. We're also asking people to collaborate much more widely than we ever have before, so not only collaborating inside the organisation but collaborating with third parties and contractors, because that's the only way that we can really meet the needs, the market needs that there are for our products. So there's an internal element which is about allowing people to collaborate quickly and connect together and prevent duplication and all those kinds of things. And I think it's also important, actually, from an employee engagement point of view as well. I think it's important that people are allowed to express themselves outside the very narrow confines of their kind of cubicle, if you like. I think traditionally we've kind of put people into quite small boxes, and we've given them objectives that are very narrowly defined. We've not really allowed them to contribute in a much wider way. And these tools allow people to actually say what they think isn't working, say what they think is working. And I think it makes people more engaged, and the more engaged people are with an organisation, the more loyal they are, and the less likely they are to leave. So.
A lot of people can agree on the engagement part, but what about the risk? A lot of people are talking about risk in employing Web 2.0 or social media technologies.
I mean, there are risks. I mean, there are risks. There's no doubt about it. And I think to deny that there are risks is missing the point, as much as saying you can't do it because of the risks. I think that the thing to do is to focus on the value of the tools to start with. That's not to lose sight of the risks, because I think the risks can be mitigated against to the point where they are so small that they're acceptable to an organisation. I think that's what you need to do. So it's just about thinking clearly and carefully what those risks are, discussing with the relevant people in the organisation who are responsible for underwriting those risks. So it might be security, it might be legal, it might be HR. Actually asking them what they think their fears, what are their fears if we had these tools? Do we have policies to cover it? And I think if you start a discussion about social media and you focus on the risks, the discussion is not going to be a positive one. I think if you start the conversation focusing on value and being mindful of the risks, then I think you'll have a much better outcome.
You also talked about you have employed a set of rules or guidelines.
Yeah.
How do you manage that kind of balance between freedom of expression and rules?
Well,
in your social media space.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a mistake to think that you can recreate what happens on the internet inside an organisation. You know, the space inside an organisation is different, so it has to be regulated, it has to be managed, it has to have policies, it has to have rules. So to be successful, you need to understand what the benefits of these tools are from seeing how they work outside the organisation, and then bring them into the organisation in a managed way. So taking into consideration the risks that we've discussed, for example, and also understanding what particular tools might work best with your culture, with your organisation, with your business needs and objectives.
You also talked about which technologies that you chose and how to evaluate them.
Yeah.
And throw sticks at the ball, or
throw things at the wall, see what sticks. I mean, there's from a very kind of purist point of view, in a social media sense, you would allow people would have ideas, they would create small, quick and dirty kind of versions of their idea and allow people to use them at a very early stage, so engage with the users and see whether the users flock to it, see what changes the users would make to the tool to make it more effective for them.
How did you do that?
Well, that's an interesting point, because I said that was a kind of purist view, because that's how it works on the internet, but it can't work that way inside an organisation, because we have IT departments that have priorities as well. So IT departments have to secure our data, they have to secure our network, they have to manage IT spend. So, you know, I think there will always be a tension between the Web 2 view, which is quick and dirty, try stuff, succeed or fail quickly and cheaply, and the IT department, which is managing a much bigger beast, and they have their own priorities and technical imperatives. So it's getting the balance right between those two, basically, which is difficult, and always will be, I'm sure.